Back in July of 2024, we found her. An off-road retrofitted 1987 Porsche 944. She wasn't perfect, far from it, but she had potential. We bought this car off of Trevor Woods, an automotive enthusiast and photographer in SoCal. He goes by 6foot Photo on Instagram. For $5,000, we thought we scored a gem. What we didn't realize was the journey of patience, perseverance, and more tow trucks that I can care to count that lay ahead. SSA House rebuilt the power steering and replaced the starter. I tracked down an alternator from a shop in Georgia called 944 Barn for just 50 bucks. With that installed, it seemed like we were finally making progress. But the 944 had other plans. One evening on the 405 freeway, she sputtered, choked, and died. Fuel starvation, we guessed. Tow truck number 6 arrived. At that moment, I felt like the car preferred the company of flatbeds over open roads. Fast forward to November at the SEMA show in Las Vegas, I ran into an old friend, Nick James. He started a company called Werks, specializing in water-cooled Porsches and European cars. When I told Nick about the 944, he was intrigued. He told me to bring it by. After the new year, we towed her once again, this time to Werks in Fullerton, California. Nick saw the potential in this car that I always believed in, and now, with his help, we are ready to bring this dream to life. This is where the real story begins. Welcome to the Brekkie Car Club Porsche 944 build series. It's time to turn struggles into triumphs and visions into reality. Let's make this car the legend it was meant to be. As you guys just saw, I haven't really been able to enjoy the car over these past couple of months. It's been somewhat of a nightmare, tow truck after tow truck. This 1987 Porsche 944 just needs to be alive again, and I'm glad that Nick is here to somewhat save the day. So Nick, what do you think of this car so far?
Yeah, so I mean, when you came to me originally with this idea for a 944 off-road, I was totally down for it. You know, I've always wanted to build a 944. I've never had the chance to. I've worked on many Porsches, and you know, when this one came across my plate, I was like, hey, let's do it.
Yeah.
And then not to mention the off-road aspect.
Yeah.
That's really cool too. I mean, this thing is gonna be wild. You know, we can pretty much take it any direction we want.
Any direction.
There's nothing else like it on the road.
Yeah.
We want to build something totally unique to our style, as well as something that's going to be eye-catching for the community.
Yeah, there's so many different engine configurations you can do to this car. You can LS swap it. You can, 5-cylinder swap it. You can do so much to it. K swap it if you wanted to. Sure. It's wild. So I did drop it off yesterday. I was a little busy, and the car wasn't operational, but you were able to get it fired up. And kind of, what did you do to the car?
So first thing I checked, based on what you told me, was the car was sputtering down the freeway, right?
Yeah.
So my initial thought was, okay, maybe it's air, fuel, or spark, the three things that make the engine run. So I started checking the fuel system, and once I was underneath there, I discovered quite a few things that could lead to a potential issue and non-running condition. So yeah.
We're actually going to do a thorough overlook of this car, kind of show you guys what it already does have, and kind of what we're planning for the car. So let's get under the hood and take a look.
Last owner here, you could definitely see, was a big DIYer. Looks like he liked to do things himself out of the garage. Taking a closer look, you can really see that's zip tie city up in here, and a lot of things that probably shouldn't be done the way they are, but hey, I got the car running and it's here now, and we're gonna take care of it. First thing that you brought the car to me for was obviously no run situation, and you explained how it all kind of went down. My thought was the fuel pump, right? And we checked the fuel pressure on it, and it was 0. So that kind of indicated that the fuel pump wasn't working. So immediately we ordered up a new fuel pump and got that taken care of. But once I opened up the fuel housing, we discovered some other stuff that was probably not as it should be. The past fuel pump was definitely like the Amazon special. I mean, that one was probably picked up on a Black Friday, I'm sure. And as you know, they're not made for the car. Especially with Porsche, you have to have things that are made for the car, otherwise it's just not gonna work. That was the case with that fuel pump, right? So when we went to remove that housing, I noticed that the wiring wasn't correct, and it could have easily shorted out, caused a fire, and that would have been a lot worse than breaking down on the freeway. So that was the first thing. And then second thing is, it was an aftermarket fuel pump, and they only tend to last like maybe a month or two if you're lucky. And I think that your 2 months was up and the car decided to pull over on the side of the road.
Let's get this thing up in the air, take a look under it, go over what mods it already has.
All right, so now that we're underneath the car, you can kind of see what we got going on. Yeah, it's definitely got some use out of it. There's some good stuff as well. I mean, there's a brand new starter on here. Motor mounts look all right. A little bit of leaking here from probably what seems to be like the rack and pinion. It's definitely something that you want to change or get repaired, I should say. Because if it doesn't, then over time it's just going to continuously leak more, and then the seals will go bad, and then you'll have a failure with the steering system.
Oof.
So yeah, we don't want that to happen, especially after this build.
Yeah.
Right? Probably gotta do something about this crusty old exhaust system. Looks like it's been under the seat quite a few times. I don't know, maybe some salt damage there. But no, actually it looks all right. It looks pretty solid. These are old cars and it's to be expected with some age. Back here, let's see what we got going on in the rear. Someone put a MagnaFlow exhaust system right here. I like how that pipe goes straight out the back. It's cool. It's kind of like a turret or something. Got some coilover suspension going on, so that's kind of cool. For the most part, it's all original. And that's a good thing when there's originality with this car, because then we actually know what we're working with. It's those modification variables that are gonna make it tricky for us to figure out and try to work around that and reinvent it. So, I mean, all in all, the car looks pretty good. It's solid, it's got all the components on it, but there is one thing that I did see underneath the hood, and we're gonna bring the car back down and check it out. And I don't think it's supposed to be that way. So let's take a look at it and see what we got.
Quick history lesson on the Porsche 944. It was introduced in 1982 as a more accessible sports car option for Porsche. Its front-engine, rear-wheel drive design offered excellent balance with near-perfect weight distribution, powered by an inline-4 engine derived from Porsche's larger 928 V8. The 944 quickly gained a reputation for solid handling and reliability. Sometime in 2010, some enthusiasts began modifying their 944s for off-road use. Inspired by rally cars, they lifted the suspensions, added all-terrain tires, and reinforced key components. And now in 2025, the off-road 944 is a unique part of car culture, offering a new perspective on what this classic Porsche can do.
So back over here to the engine bay, this is just, I don't even know what you want to make of this, but there is wires, some sort of vacuum line to, I don't know if this is like a charcoal canister or what, electrical, fuses, lighting components. Yeah, all this stuff needs to be secured in a more organized way. Right now it's just kind of hanging over there. So again, potential fire hazard. Don't want to have that happen to us, especially after it already breaking down the side of the road. We don't want it to burn on the side of the road either. So we're gonna have to go through this and make sure it's all good. Yeah. Not exactly sure what this is, but it seems to be tied to our ignition and was zip tied to the power steering fluid. So don't really know what that is. Looks like maybe a ground harness, not really sure. We've been a little bit hard on the car. We've been going through all the negatives and whatnot and all the custom alterations that have been done here, but I gotta say, there is some nice stuff on this car as well. You got Baja designs, linkable lights in the front. There's a skid plate, tubular style reinforcement. So there's some positives to the car for sure.
The interior is completely gutted. Let's hop inside and take a look.
Yeah, let's check it out. All right, so it is gutted for sure. And that's a good thing, right? Because we want the ability to work inside of here. And also it's good for weight reduction as well. In all seriousness, there's some nice stuff in here as well. You got Momo steering wheel. You got some lightings in here. There's inside lights, Baja designs as well. You have this nice aux beam control panel. So that's pretty cool. We'll be able to use that with our system and the things that we put in. Personally, I like this the best. The Ejecto Cedo, cuz always gotta have one of those. Yeah, there's some nice stuff going on in here. I think we can work with it. It's got a roll cage back there. We got a spare tire carrier as well. Not too bad. All in all, pretty good place to start. On the backside, I mean, obviously you can see there was some body damage here. You know, whoever owned the car was probably off-roading it and may have crunched it going up a hill or something. And you know, his method here was obviously to get the car back or just make it function. You know, I gotta say though, I'm not hating the way this looks. Obviously it's not the right way of doing it, but I do kind of like this Mad Max riveted kind of look here. So yeah, you know, definitely not the right way of doing it, but it does look kind of cool, and maybe we'll take some inspiration from that accident and turn it into something that is pretty cool.
Let's talk about the inside
right
here.
So what you don't see is on the inside, right? So the inside, I don't know what is going on with that. That looks like some Flex Seal Billy Mays special. I have no idea what that is. Normally you use Bondo to fix it or you weld it, but someone decided to spray some foam insulation in there, and that was the way that they handled that situation. And you know, I guess it worked, right? Car's here. So, but we're definitely gonna have to deal with that when it comes time to repairing that quarter panel. So yeah.
One issue that SSA House brought up to me was that the fuse box for the turn signals aren't communicating with the rest of the car. Now, why could you think that would be?
Well, I mean, that could be a number of things. So first thing, we know that a lot of the electrical has been altered on this car, which means that the harness is probably not fully intact like it should be. As we've seen with the ignition wiring, there's some additional things that don't belong to the car necessarily. So it could be a matter of a harness being unplugged, it could be a bad relay, or it could be no power supply at all to the fuses, which would indicate you know, obviously no power going to the signals.
The next day, Nick got to work troubleshooting an ongoing issue with the blinkers. He inspected the wiring, relays, and fuse box to track down the source of the problem. Along the way, he found a disconnected relay and some loose wiring under the hood. While these issues were unrelated to the blinkers, they hinted at the car's history of electrical malfunctions and challenges ahead. Next, Nick shifted his focus to the steering column, suspecting switches were the culprit. Disassembling the column, he discovered years of dirt and debris clogging the connections. This buildup had blocked the grounding necessary for the blinkers to function properly. After clearly removing the switches, Nick gave them a thorough cleaning to restore their functionality. With everything reassembled, Nick reconnected the battery and tested the system. The result? Success. The blinkers were fully operational again, making a big win for this project. This repair not only fixed the immediate issue, but also gave Nick insight into other potential areas to address as the 944 restoration continues. With everything now working, I can confidently drive home without the fear of a tow truck. But let's not get too comfortable. This car needs a lot of love. Make sure to like this video and subscribe to the Brekkie Car Club YouTube channel. We're gonna keep building this Porsche 944. The 944 is back in Huntington Beach, where I live. And when it works, man, this car is so fun to drive. It's a blast. You know, some of you don't know what Brekkie Car Club is. Let me take some time to explain. In 2020, during the pandemic, Brekkie Car Club was founded to support small businesses. And eventually, through collaborations with big aftermarket brands in the industry, we eventually started throwing car shows. We launched a membership called the Founders Program. If you go to brekkiecarclub.com, you can become a founder there. And if you like this video and you want to support this 944 build, subscribe to our channel, like this video, follow us on Instagram, and maybe I'll catch you at our next event. Thanks for watching.